Jiu-jitsu has allowed him to discover this warrior side of him that we never thought he has. He didn't know he has.
Okay.
A year in, right? Even till today, he's still so excited to train. He's so proud. You know, I mean, he just turned 9, so the way we communicate is a little different now. Sure. You know, but you know that age of like 7 and 8, they're still very gullible, very cute. Yeah. I'm like, Kai, what's your superpower, right? Before jiu-jitsu was Spider-Man, was superheroes. Once he started training, jiu-jitsu is my superpower. He firmly believed that.
Yeah,
it gives him that confidence and that identity, and things just click for him. He competes, you know. First year, smash it. We're going through a different journey now. He, you know, this past year he experienced more losses than wins. He's you know, getting into the advanced level. But yeah, man, he spent the first 7-8 months crying on the mat. Every life role.
Oh, so you mean he was like me when I
me too.
I was crying.
Yeah, but you know, people see him now on the mat, right? They don't understand that we pay our dues.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
You know, and I want to talk about parents of kids who play sports, and jiu-jitsu in specific have.
Oh, that's a big one.
Yeah, we'll get to that later.
Absolutely. I think that's a very important topic. But before we get there, I want to touch on that because, you know, the thing about kids, right? When we're talking about all our traumas over here, right, and being vulnerable, part of the reason is that we subconsciously, right, but sometimes we're not conscious of our limiting beliefs. We're subconscious of it. That means it's in our internal. Yeah. And we don't recognize it. We're not self-aware of them, right? So we're kind of living ourselves in denial and we don't even know it at times. Yeah. It takes a lot to peel back the layers of that onion, right? So my point is that you having to train Kian, and I'm sure that, you know, there's a lot of things that he's not processing because he's still, you know, a kid. But the good thing is that it is going into his subconscious autonomic state, which means that his self-belief. Yeah. That's what we're literally talking about right now. Yeah. Our traumas and stuff like that. Yeah. But then what you're teaching him, since you put him in jiu-jitsu, is the will to believe in himself and progress every single day. Yeah. Now, he's probably not conscious of what's going on, but then it's instilling in his, again, self-belief, right? Yeah. Like how we used to be shy kids, or we're introverts, or we were scared of public speaking. Yeah. We weren't conscious of that. You know what I mean? Just because we're adults now we're starting to peel back the layers of those onions. We're like, oh yeah, that's where it stems from. And that's where the root cause of it is from. But then really it's like habits and in our like unconscious state that why we believe those things without even knowing it. Now we're identifying it, you know, and now we're trying to fix ourselves. But then it's good that Kian,
you're good
at like a early age, is getting into his autonomic nervous system. Yeah. So he doesn't even have to think about it when he knows when he goes through a challenge or he has to go through something that he has to be resilient. He's just going to automatically do it because he knows what fucking hard feels like. Yeah. Right?
Yeah. And he surprised us and himself. You know, like if you ever get to see him train, and you know, Coach Jerry is big on this, right? Effort. Effort. Right? And the thing with Kyan, he's a bit of a perfectionist. Yeah. He loves art. You know, like if one little line is off, he's a little bit of
OCD there. Yeah.
So, you know, he's a little bit of a perfectionist, and he brings that onto the mat. And you know how it is with Coach Jerry, right? And especially even in the adults class, effort, right? At all levels, from white to black, it don't matter. So the thing with me, once I start training with him, I know, man, I started dying after the warm-up, the shrimping. I got dizzy from back row and front row. I'm like,
I'm done.
You know, 4 hours of sleep before with the baby and overdo myself with caffeine just to wake up, heart rates and, you know, like I'm like, what am I doing here? You know what I'm saying? But, you know, I had this talk with him. I'm like, you know, I tried really hard to be on the bench and be there for you so you can train. Do your best. That's all I'm asking. Do your best, you know, because if you're not doing your best, you wouldn't know what the full potential is. Do your best. And it's going to take a lot of messed up as far as like repping the techniques and stuff like that. Same thing with us adults.
Yeah.
Right. And we have this, man, I didn't even dream about this. And to me, this is such a blessing. We have this beautiful connection through jiu-jitsu up to this point of a little over 2.5 years in now of training. Right. And, you know, I'm able to have a friendship with him. Literally, I just had
bond, right?
A bond. Yeah. I just had this talk with Coach Jerry the other day, how I grabbed him after class. I was there night class and Kyan was waiting for me. And grabbed him after class and asked a question. Right, Kyan was right there by the fence watching the whole thing went down. And it was simple. It was literally just passing guard from a body lock, whatever. And on the way home in the car, he calls me Baba. He's like, Baba, I didn't know you still raise your hand and ask a question. You know, I'm like, of course. That's what we're going to be doing for the rest of our life. You know, and it's so humbling. It hits me so hard. I don't even know how to explain it. I guess it's just in my position as a dad and what he went through and everything. I always get a little emotional talking about his journey and everything. But moments like that was so special for me. Like he recognized that I was humble enough to ask questions, that I'm learning, being a student in front of him.
Yeah.
You know, and it sparked something in him. He's like, wow, like you're learning too. You're a student. I'm like, yeah, of course.
I think that's such a beautiful thing, man. And you know what's funny is that I'm getting these I'm actually getting excited for my future self to have those kids, because that's exactly the interaction I want with my kids.
Yeah.
Right. Because it's a learning kind of, you're passing on down literally through your ancestors, through what you've learned now, through what he's going to learn. And then he's going to he's going to reverse engineer that and then make whatever he's learned through you. Yeah. And I think that's just a beautiful part of being like a parent. You know, it's something that you're right. I can't even describe. It's almost like it's like a bonding moment that's priceless.
Yes.
To like a son and dad. Like I can't even, there's no feeling probably like it. Right. You know, and man, that's amazing to hear. And I'm glad that, you know, you were able to get him in that discipline. It's funny how things work out, right? It's almost like you could have got him into anything, but then I think it's more of like your intuition or whatever was calling to you that you had to, well, and being fan of sports combat, combat sports help too. But you know, I mean, part of that, you didn't have to stick him in there. I mean, you could have stick him somewhere else. You could have been like, it's too dangerous, but you know, you decided to stick him in there, and then it was probably the best ROI, return of investment that you've gotten, right? Like, but stick him in there.
I got to give the credit to our coaches.
Of course, man. Yeah.
You know, people don't do that enough, right? Like,
bro,
like parents, like,
agreed.
Look at my child. Or if they train, like if they're look at me.
Yeah.
Dude, Coach Jerry, Coach Shane, like, I love them, man. I feel like I don't tell them enough, you know, because we train and we leave. I got shit to do. I get it. But, you know,
I'm sure they understand.
My child, Kyan, he is a true reflection of, you know, how do I put this into word? Like Coach Jerry plays somewhat of not just a coach, but a father role on the mat. And sometimes it's so humbling for me to watch that, right? And step back and allows that to go down. And it's so beautiful to watch because it's something that I have to admit that Kyan is growing right in front of me with those training and interaction with his coach that he wouldn't get from me.
Yeah.
And it's such a blessing for me to have that, to have those individuals in my life impacting my life and my child's life in such positive way. You know, you can't buy that.
I think part of it too is that they're filling a void of what you don't know, right? Like kind of like a second father.
Yeah.
But it's filling a void of what they could teach them from their experience, right? Yeah. So it's filling up that gap.
But a lot of parents, they look at any sports, they look at coaches as just a coach.
Just a coach, yeah.
I'm paying you to coach my kids. I'm paying you to teach my kids this sport.
Yeah.
No, there's so much more that goes into that. I just feel like teachers and coaches just don't get enough credit. Just don't get enough credit.